Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and an elephant never forgets, but I forget what the elephant remembered. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam tonight called Sunkenland, developed and published by Vector 3 Studio, released in early access and selling for $20 American. So, basically, have you guys ever seen the movie Waterworld? If not, go watch it. It's not the worst movie ever. This is basically that in game form. It's an open-world survival crafting game similar to games like Raft, Rust, 7 Days to Die, and more. First person, go around gathering resources, scavenging, fighting off random enemies, all while trying to make your base bigger and better and cooler. And it's got online co-op, so guess what that means? It means I get to play with my wife. Woo! I love doing this. So, as always, we'll go into the good and the bad, followed by my final thoughts and my recommendation, alright? Cool. So, up first is the positives. The first positive would have to be the look and feel of the game. It looks really pretty, especially the water. I mean, just overall it looks good. The textures here, the lighting, the attention to detail, I mean, what you guys are looking at right now, what you're watching is actually the game on its lowest setting, and I did that so that way OBS could actually record it clearly, which I'm still not 100% sure if OBS is going to give me clear image here. But look at how nice it looks even on low setting. It's not the best, but for what it is, and for the game you have here, it actually looks pretty great in my opinion, and I couldn't stop thinking about how good it all looked, especially those water physics. Really nice. Next up is the overall sound. Now the sound effects for the most part sound pretty realistic and decent. Not anything super awesome, but still not bad. Although there are some that are really annoying and I hope they take out soon. For instance, when you're swimming fast in water, it sounds like you're running through puddles. This annoyed my wife to no end. Doesn't make any sense and sounds awful. When you're hitting a tree, with every chop, there's a small pinging sound that just doesn't add in or make any sense at all. So it's not all perfect, but for the most part, it's not bad. And that also includes the music. It's lacking in the title screen, but when you're playing the game, it sounds perfect, and it even drifts into the background as it should to give you a form of ambiance, which was actually really nice. There's no voice acting here either, so yeah. I don't think anybody was really expecting there to be voice acting, so I don't really care about that too much. For the next one, I'm not entirely sure how many people can play together, but when it came to the online co-op function, it worked great. There was no lag, no disconnects, and we were able to play with each other really well. In fact, its stability with online co-op was better than Sons of the Forest or Sengoku Dynasty when they first released. A very pleasant surprise. When you take all that into consideration, plus the amount of time you could end up putting into this and all the content that's there, plus more that is supposed to come, the price tag is actually incredibly awesome to see. So I guess you could say that this positive would be its online capabilities plus its price tag. And last, but certainly not least, is the gameplay. It is exactly what you want it to be. Building things works great and snaps together well with good highlights. The crafting makes sense and works well. The game lets you know what things are with its tooltip information and how to do what you need to do and when you need to do it so that way you can enjoy the gameplay. The swimming underwater to scavenge is fun and risky. Avoid sharks and marauders or die. It's a lot like Raft and Subnautica with constantly needing to be underwater to find resources and manage your food, water, and air supply with each trip. There's tons of content here in regards to items. Items that either serve a purpose, like a spear or a filter machine to get clean water, but then you've also got a lot of decorative items that can just make your little shelter place feel like a home. They have blueprints that you can find, special gear you can find, loot that you can find and sell to traders, and different gear that you can equip to make yourself better, or for those new recipes it will unlock all kinds of different things. Like I unlocked a motorboat, which I haven't been able to create yet, but I also unlocked a bunch of decorations and furniture stuff that I could set up around my house, and it all works really well together. And we ended up finding ourselves having a lot of fun trying to explore this massive underwater world so that we could just survive longer. We even got a little ballsy and tried attacking some marauders with spears. It didn't turn out well, but the experience was fun nonetheless. I can't wait to get guns so I can use them to fight off these marauders, which the game says they may one day raid you. For these kinds of games, it's really hard to experience all it has to offer in just 2 hours, but I can pretty much tell a good game from a bad one within the first 2 hours, and in terms of gameplay, this is a really solid foundation, and I can't wait to see what else they do with it. I mean, you need to build a bucket, collect salt water, have it filtered so you can drink it using wood to power it. Same with food, bed, a farming box to plant food. I mean, I could keep going, but I think it would just be faster and easier to tell you that this is a survival game, and in terms of gameplay, it's exactly what you're going to expect from a survival game, except it's going to have a lot more in it that you weren't expecting. I was not expecting there to be so many different decorative things to really make my house feel like a house. I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting to see swordfish in the water. There's just all kinds of stuff in there that I wasn't expecting, but in terms of the survival gameplay, everything that I wanted was there. By the way, if I sound a little bit off, it's because the whole house is asleep right now. It's super late, and even though I'm trying to vocalize for you guys, I'm also trying not to be too loud so I don't wake my kids. Alright, so that's all I got to say for the positives of the game. Next up is the negatives, but before I go into that, I just got to say that these developers so far seem like pretty legit. And here's my reasoning for saying so. I hosted this server for myself and my wife. She had a crash, but she was underwater. So I decided if I hit the save and exit button, it would shut down the server and save, and maybe save her oxygen level at, where it was, so that way we could get back in and, she wouldn't die. When we got back into the game, she had all of her gear and inventory and items, but I spawned at the starter point of the map without any gear or inventory. Everything was just lost. Nobody to pick up, nothing, just gone, like I had started a new character. Now, this would have pissed me off to no end, except for one thing. Literally an hour after release, the devs fixed it, and despite me coming in and exiting the game, saving and quitting over and over again to test and see if this was an issue with the game or not so I could give you guys this video, after their fix, when I logged back in, I had everything back. How awesome is that? So they're clearly listening to the people's complaints and fixing the biggest issues fast. That's a good sign, and it's very much appreciated, game devs. You've just saved me and my wife 2 hours of gameplay. Okay, and now I gotta make a request, and I'm sorry because I feel like I'm droning on here, but my channel only grows more popular if it's already getting views. So can you see the paradox that creates? So my request is this. Please support my small channel. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, or best of all, spread the word of my channel. Get my name out there. I would really appreciate any support you guys could give me. Thank you. Okay, now we got to go into the negatives, but before we get into those, know that none of them are really that bad, but I still felt like I had to make mention of them regardless because some people might see them as bad even though I don't. Okay, so first up, the game isn't exactly stable. It crashed for my wife, forcing us to restart the game. However, in all other regards, it seemed to play very well. There was no lagging, no clipping, no stuttering or frame rate drops, and, that one crash was just it, one crash, so I'm thinking it might have been an isolated incident. But even so, the fact that it did happen means I still need to mention it. Next, for the negatives, there's absolutely no tutorial or learning at all, and it's incredibly frustrating. I don't need to know much for a game like this, but just some simple things would help. A beginner's guide, for instance, in case I wasn't a veteran survival player. That'd be nice. I mean, what about the people out there who never play survival games? This game doesn't reach out to them at all because it doesn't teach you the basics of anything here. And you can never make a game based on, oh, well, everybody's played survival games. You can't do that. You still got to do a tutorial in case there was someone who doesn't play them and suddenly jumped into yours. So it needs a tutorial, at least a simple, small, short one. Another negative with the game is that there are some balancing issues. For instance, getting purified water was easy enough, but getting enough food, however, was insanely difficult. There's no fishing rod, but you get fishing bait. The fish in the water are way too fast for you to catch, and even if you manage to hunt down a turtle, it's only enough to feed you for like that one day. After that, you're out of food, so you better learn how to swim faster, I guess, because as far as I can tell, there's no other easy way to get food. Now, I understand it's survival and not meant to be easy, but there's clearly a balance to these kinds of games, and this one is lacking in that regard. Just give us a fishing rod in the beginning to make it a little easier, or maybe give us more crabs on land, I mean, my wife and I ran out of food 2 days after playing it. Imagine if you were playing with a couple friends, the food would run out way faster and you guys would be screwed. It's not impossible, but it just feels to me like it's way too hard. I mean, a whole sea turtle only gives you 1 serving of meat and doesn't fill your food bar all the way up. I mean, it should give you at least 3 servings. Even Sons of the Forest gives you 3 when you kill a turtle. Not only that, but your food meter runs out way too fast considering how little food there is for you to gather in a timely fashion. My wife died a dozen times just from hunger while we played in these 2 hours. It was ridiculous how much she died to hunger. Plus, also in regards to the balancing issues, it seems you have too little oxygen in terms of diving. I mean, I can hold my breath longer, and I'm out of shape just playing this game, let alone this guy when he's just sitting in the water. So maybe give us a little bit more oxygen as well. I can barely make it to the loot down at the bottom there without running out of oxygen. And the last negative I have is the user interface. It's a little backwards. Now, at first, it's kind of legit, like you've got your hotbar that makes sense, inventory and stuff that makes sense, but when it comes to building, instead of exiting building when you right-click, it just takes you back to a different building mode, which very frequently gets frustrating. Normally in these games, when you're about to build something, right-click will cancel it, not redo it. But when you open a storage chest and expect to see your inventory on the left, but it's actually on the right. I mean, every game in existence, to my knowledge, always has your inventory on the left normally, not the right. So that was also really off and awkward and confusing. So, see what I mean? These aren't even that bad, all these negatives, and a lot of them can be easily fixed. And I guess, overall, what do I think about this game? I think this game is pretty legit, actually. I mean, it's gritty, it's difficult yet simple, it's hard yet easy, peaceful yet chaotic. It's different, and it's all put together in a pretty good way. I'm struggling to not say that this game is awesome because I'm worried that there might be something I missed. But I was really enjoying myself. I thought it was a really good game. Basically, if you're a fan of survival games and you've got a buddy or two to play games with, then this is a must-buy. You should definitely check it out. Now, don't get me wrong, you could definitely play this game by yourself and still have fun with it. Plus, you can set up your own game with your own difficulty levels, so you can make it harder or easier for yourself or your friends, with certain rules added on or not. Basically, to make a long story short, this game was pretty awesome, and yes, I recommend everyone at least check it out. It was a lot of fun, and now I know what me and my wife are going to end up playing together for the next few months. You might want to wait a few months just in case for a few big updates to fix some of those issues I mentioned, but otherwise, I still think this is a pretty good investment, especially if you buy it now while it's only selling for like $15, $16 because it's on sale right now. Alright everybody? Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video. Make sure you give this game a chance. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.